Culture and the new era. Someone in our Wednesday night class a couple of weeks ago said that she didn't really understand culture, so I'm hoping she's listening to today's talk, because it's not easy to understand what culture means. And as I become increasingly aware of what it means, I realize that it's a word that's loosely used. You oftentimes hear people in the media and other venues where they refer to culture. And I thought, I'd love to send this talk to them because it's more than what most of us understand it to be. So, culture in the new era. A new age is determined by the precession of the equinoxes when the sun enters a new constellation. So each time the sun enters a new constellation, there's a new age, which creates a new era. Each new age brings change, leading to the new era and new cultures. Consider the idea that we were all born at this time to experience a shift from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. But some of us want to do more than to experience a new age. Instead, we want to help shape it, to create a spiritual culture for this new age, and to play an active role in that shaping. This idea would suggest that many of us were born at this time to implement new ideas, new thought, a new education, psychology and religion, and to advance science and politics and the economy into a higher culture. So really think about this and ask yourself, are you one of those people? And if you are you ready to introduce these new ideas in all venues of life, the key venues of life: religion, politics, philosophy, communication, science? You must be a spiritual warrior to bring new ideas into humanity that is going to shape humanity in such a way that from the new age, a new culture is also born. In the book Agni Yoga, there is a paragraph that tells us that each era has its own call. So think about this. Don't just hear the words and and not assimilate it. Hear the words. The master is saying that every era has its own call. If this is so, have you heard the call? Are you responding to the call? And in that response, taking action? If so, you're helping to bring in a new culture. The master goes on to say the power of thought will be the evocative principle of the new age. The power of thought will be the evocative principle of the new world. I believe that new era thinkers are inspired with higher thinking, lofty thinking, and a thinking that is going to motivate the young, middle-aged, and elderly. Thinkers who will inspire people whose hearts are harmoniously aligned with the heart of cosmos. Now, some people may say, What do you mean, the heart of cosmos? See, it really isn't important to know where the heart of cosmos is. It's just beautiful to think about. There is this great heart in cosmos that corresponds to an individual's heart, and that one day we may be conscious of it. Even if we're not conscious of it, our heart nature may be responsive, may be responding to the love and the beauty and the power of this creative force called the cosmic magnet, or the heart in the universe, the heart of the cosmos. People who will hear the call, respond to the call, and find themselves creating a higher culture through the broadening of their consciousness. This consciousness can give birth then to a new culture of leadership. See, so those of us that believe that we were born at this time, and to bring in and manifest these magnificent ideas that will help shape a new humanity, we are bringing in a new culture. And it takes dedication, it takes sacrifice, it takes a pledge of duty and dedication to humanity, to your environment. Most of us come into the world to build our ego. I mean, we see that today. We're fighting, we're struggling to create an identity so people will recognize us as a human being, as someone special, someone unique. But people who were born and want to shape humanity with this new culture have moved beyond that. It's an interesting idea to think about, that when we've come into this planet, when we incarnate into this planet, it's not for ourselves, but for others. This kind of consciousness can give birth to a new culture of leadership, a new era of leadership that will lead us into a most beautiful, worldwide spiritual culture. The one constant in defining this term, culture, comes from the Latin root colere, C-O-L-E-R-E, which means to inhabit or to cultivate, and in general it means human activity. That's colere. But there are many definitions and understandings of culture. For example, Plato, is in his book, Plato's Republic, it indicates that culture and philosophy are not separate. With culture on one side and philosophy on the other, Plato believed that philosophy was within a culture, philosophy and culture. But in turning to the teachings of living ethics, Agni Yoga, we can develop an even deeper understanding of culture. Culture is the best manifestation of higher values. So if you don't remember anything else, try to remember this, that culture is the best manifestation of higher values. Women are going to protect the higher values, virtues, principles, and standards. It's interesting, I was watching on PBS yesterday an amazing program on the Roman Empire. the fall of the Roman Empire, and the people are doing a lot of research these days, apparently, on the cause of the fall of the Roman Empire. And on a side note, one of the beliefs is climate change as a result of a volcano that took place. Anyway, going back to my point, they are discovering how important women were to the culture of the Roman Empire, which, if you think about it, is pretty amazing. That only now are they realizing and recognizing the important part that women played in bringing about a new culture, bringing about higher values, virtues, principles, and then standard. And here women are today. Things come back full circle. And it's happening again, according to Agni Yoga. Women will stand and protect higher values and virtues and principles and standards, and then teach them to all children. Agni Yoga says that women will be the teacher to nations. Women are going to hold the culture of nations very high. Culture means worship of fire, and God is fire. Nicholas Roerich, that great master artist, wrote that in his search to understand the term culture, he found a book called The Encyclopedia of Ethics. The book said, quote, "To Francis Bacon, the world is indebted to the term culture, and also to philosophy." However, in the end, Professor Roerich felt that, while of itself, the notion of culture may be broad enough to express all forms of spiritual life in man, intellectual, religious, and ethical, it is best understood as humanity's effort to assert its inner and independent thinking. Now, that's a whole different approach to understanding culture. So culture has many definitions. Our task, those of us that are striving to bring about and shape this new age of Aquarius into a new era of culture, we must try to bring in the highest meaning and understanding of culture and bring it into our lives and into all that we do. So Nicholas Roerich himself defined culture by saying, culture is reverence of light. Reverence of light. This is so powerful, isn't it? It is to me anyway. And thus you too. Culture is love of humanity. Culture is fragrance. This is what Nicholas Roerich was defining culture as. Culture is fragrance, the unity of life and beauty. He says culture is a synthesis of uplifting and sensitive attainments. Culture is the motivating power, and culture is the heart. Culture is the heart. He's giving us a hint here that the sensitive heart, the one who is beating to the pulse of the heart of the cosmic magnet, is inherently, innately bringing in a new culture. The tree of culture is nourished by all unlimited knowledge, by enlightened labor, incessant creativeness, and noble attainment. So at this point, we can say culture may be broad enough to express all forms of spiritual life in a person. Intellectual, religious, ethical, and it is best understood as humanity's efforts to assert its inner and independent being. If we take that one condensed definition of culture, we can then see a more detailed understanding of how humanity expresses culture on 4 different levels. The first is personality culture. And this is what most people understand culture as, from the personality level. But then we shift to a more refined understanding and expression, which is soul culture. And beyond that, there's what we call living or spiritual culture, and that's the culture of the future. And finally, the culture of the central fire within man and the universe. So personality culture is the expression of the physical, emotional, and lower mental levels of a person's personality. That's personality culture. It can be easily recognized in the creative accomplishments we can see as easily recognized in advertisements, movies, and the daily life. It's a revealing exercise to observe the values, or even, if I dare say, the lack of values and morality demonstrated or expressed through the media. But that in itself is a culture. We might say is a pseudo-culture when we think of the higher and the lower. But then the soul culture, number 2. You can observe this culture through the writings of Tolstoy, Tagore, and Emerson, the science of Einstein, the art of Michelangelo, the music of Samuel Barber, Beethoven, Handel, Bach, Tchaikovsky, Gurdjieff, even the music of Torkim Saradarian, which we play here every single Sunday morning, and of course others. That's the expression of soul culture. Number 3, spiritual culture is the culture of the future. This culture is the expression of divinity. Spiritual culture is the expression of the divinity from within each of us, the divine fire. Now, only rare people manifest this level of beauty. You can see the expression of culture in the works of, for example, Nicholas Roerich. This is not personality or soul culture. It is a culture that, when contacted, immediately releases to some degree the hidden divinity in man. Number 4, the culture of the central spiritual fire within a human being and the universe manifests itself through the divine embodiments called avatars, such as Christ and Buddha. The culture we want to cultivate in the new era is unity, harmony, cooperation, and synthesis among all nations and races and nations. That's what we want to cultivate. It's no easy task. We want to create a culture of global love, compassion, cooperation, and a global outlook from each human heart. See, this is not losing one's individual or national identity. It is bringing the best of that identity out through unity, harmony, cooperation, and synthesis, where we bring our individualities together to create the whole, made of the parts, the many parts. So, for example, educators are going to revise their books and remove all those materials which foster separateness, a sense of superiority, discrimination, hatred, and possessiveness. Educators will begin to educate the soul along with the personality. Can you imagine as a kid when you were going through grade school? Well, it became worse. By the time you got to college, it got worse, right? What got worse? An increase in divisiveness, an increase in separatism, an increase of building one's ego to be better than everyone else. That wants to be changed. So we can educate the soul with and along with the personality. We want the hearts of men and women and children to feel the unity of life, to teach the continuity of consciousness, and to discover the one self, the all self, to eliminate the use of alcohol, tobacco, and narcotics. We all know, just recently, and maybe some of you heard also Matthew Perry, his interview with, what was her name? Sawyer. Diane Sawyer. Yeah, interviewing this man and what he went through, that beautiful man, and what happened with addiction. And we've lost so many beautiful children to drugs and alcohol and narcotics. This must be eliminated. Then philosophy and communication. To provide the techniques of intuitive thinking, straight knowledge, pure reason and synthesis, the science of impression and meditation, to eliminate gossip, negative criticism, slander, and betrayal. And then the arts. It's through the arts where we're going to teach the mystery of creation, the mystery of the cosmos, solar systems, and galaxies, to create an art that will be the mirror of the future, to see the possibility of humanity's future achievements. And science. Through science, we're going to find ways to penetrate into the energies, forces, laws, and principles of the cosmos. And I think this James Webb telescope is going to help bring this about through science, relating cosmos to the need of humanity, to create such great research institutions, facts, laws, and energies for only those scientists whose hearts are in their right place. To teach about the etheric body to the healers so they can heal a human being on all three levels: physical, emotional, and mental. We have two truly incredible books on esoteric healing that some of us have given to our doctors and chiropractors and acupuncturists and so forth. And when I go into their offices, I can see the books nestled away on their bookshelf, looking brand new. Why? Because it's so new. See, for them to talk to their patients about the etheric body, it's still foreign to them. Why? Because their heart, as great as they may be, or not great, but as good as they may be, as skilled as they may be in their medical field, they could be even better because they're just dealing with the personality, and in this case, the physical body. religion, to create a religious culture that speaks to people about the glory hidden in the heart of a human being. A culture that speaks about the one brotherhood of humanity, that speaks of a religion everyone can understand according to their actualization of love. To create a cultural environment where disciples can be initiated into a higher consciousness, expanding their awareness toward the mysteries of the universe. I know many of us, when we were young and entering into, church of our parents' belief, that search was already in our hearts. We wanted to learn about the mysteries. We wanted to learn about initiations. We wanted to learn about the continuity of life. So we've moved beyond the dogma of religion into the ageless wisdom. To speak about the hierarchy of light. And it's not that the hierarchy of light is not spoken about in religious books. It is, but it's not taught from that point of view. To restore the mystery of all ages. To create a culture where no conflict exists between any religion, because a new religion will reveal the essence and oneness of all religions. And economics. To create an economic culture where human beings learn to consciously share whatever they have, so that there will be a great abundance on this earth, where everyone has everything they need. What they need will be provided to them, where no one will need to accumulate money because they have whatever they need. Greed will be annihilated. In the New Age culture, humanity will sit at the table in the upper room of awareness with the Lord. In the upper room and at the table of communion, the Lord will share with us more abundant life. The New Age culture will see the door of the United Nations opened in such a way that the representatives of humanity will be overpowered with the spirit of unity, brotherhood, sharing, and trust, and the Spirit of the Most High. On that day, the energy of the new culture will flood human hearts and minds and souls, and the world will enter into a soul-level culture. A verse from the leaves of Moriah's garden shares information about the 4 stones. It says, friends, please place. That's my addition, please. I can't read what I've written here. Place 4 stones. Place 4 stones into the foundation of your actions. First, reverence of hierarchy. Second, realization of unity. Third, realization of co-measurement. And fourth, the application of the canon by thy God. I believe these instructions will help us establish the new culture in this new era. It will provide a foundation or ideals that we can accept. Some people continuously think and speak and feel and act without having any foundation. We need to start seeing whether we ourselves have a foundation when thinking and feeling and speaking and acting. what is our foundation? In this sense, a foundation means to have a powerful principle, goal, and purpose behind our thinking. So MM advises us to build a foundation under our actions. The first of the 4 cornerstones in our foundation is the reverence for hierarchy. The hierarchy, what is the hierarchy that we so frequently speak about? Do we know what the hierarchy really is? Well, the teaching is saying the hierarchy is made up of those whom we sincerely worship and admire. We accept them, capital T them. We accept them as ideals, as our visions of the future. The hierarchy is the highest standard that we think, feel, and believe. The hierarchy is our highest dreams, our highest perfection, and our highest desire. We are going to put that cornerstone in our foundation and think, are my actions contradictory or in harmony with this foundation? The second cornerstone in our foundation is the realization of unity. When we have this cornerstone in our foundation, the realization of unity, we can ask ourselves if we are creating cleavages and conflict, and if so, how to stop such actions and words and feelings and thoughts. If we do not have this foundation, we're not going to have direction. But if we build a strong foundation, we're going to say, I am going to build my life upon the foundation of the reverence to unity. The realization of co-measurement. This is the third cornerstone of our foundation. Co-measurement is to take no action until we weigh everything possible, every eventuality, and then decide to take an action and follow through. So co-measurement means taking any action that will not create difficulties in our plan, future, our environment, and our family. It's not easy to do this. So if our foundation has co-measurement, we will be slow in action for a while until we become proficient in seeing all aspects of a problem of it or situation. So this is essential. This co-measurement. For example, this is interesting. If we take the medical profession 200 years ago, it required only 3 years to be a medical doctor. Today, a medical doctor often specializes in several areas. The field of medical science is more complex today. For example, a doctor, if the doctor will do this, let me call it the new era doctor, is going to consider, if I give this medicine, it will heal the stomach, but it will raise the blood pressure. If I give this other pill, it will benefit the stomach and blood pressure, but the vision will diminish. If I give that medicine, the blood pressure and stomach will be fine, the vision will be wonderful, but it will create insanity or death. The doctor must study why this medicine causes insanity and how he can make the medicine safe for the whole of the body. See, right now, pharmacies, the pharmaceutical drug companies are telling us the effects of where this drug may help you breathe better. And then the litany, which is only one paragraph long on the TV, but if you look behind the scenes, it's a 10-page document of everything else. It may cure this, but in the end, you may have cancer, you may die. Co-measurement. We have ways to go. The fourth cornerstone to our foundation is the application of the canon by thy God. Is your thinking, your actions, feelings, and words in harmony with the will of God? The will of God is defined as beauty, love, humility, service, and dedication. That's the will of God. If your actions are not in harmony with these five, then you are not acting inspired by God. With these four cornerstones, we will establish the foundation of a new culture in all fields of life. And let me close with this. MM gives us in this verse specific seed thoughts for contemplation. He says reverence of hierarchy is symbolized by the dove. Realization of unity is the warrior. Realization of co-measurement is the pillar. And application of by thy God is the sun. So we will receive great gifts of inspiration and build our foundation for the culture of the new era by often contemplating these four seed thoughts. Reverence of hierarchy, the dove, realization of unity, the warrior, realization of co-measurement, the pillar, and application of by thy God, the sun. So now, the next time someone asks you to define culture, you have a broader space from which to talk. Thanks.